Imagine I just recorded a video of you doing this for hours and hours and hours. Say hi, YouTube. Are you camera shy? Since when? Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Me and Odie are here to bring you a special video about lifters and why you should get a pair if you work out and you don't own them. Okay, maybe Odie's not gonna be the whole video, just the introduction. Ugh. So I'm recording this video in light of getting some new lifters. Tommy bought some Reebok Legacy Lifter IIs for my birthday, and I've only trained them for a handful of sessions now. But I actually have them here with me today and my old lifters, and I'll be just going over some differences of the lifters that I've owned in the past and why I've chosen the Reebok Legacies. However, let's back it up and start from the beginning of why you should own a pair of lifters if you don't. It actually boggles my mind when I go to a gym and I see people lifting heavy weight without lifters on, but I try to backtrack a little bit and not be judgmental because I was that person too many moons ago, back in 2013, 14-ish when I started lifting. Didn't even know there were particular shoes for different sports, let alone weightlifting. So if you're someone who hasn't made the investment or hasn't even heard of this before, you're not alone. Everyone starts from somewhere. A few months went by of me doing weightlifting, and my coach actually brought it to my attention that I should get a pair of lifters, and him and the owner of the gym I used to go to actually chipped in, because I was young at the time, chipped in on my first pair of lifters, which I still have to this day, which was the Adipowers. And oh my God, I thought I was strong at the time, strong before. When I threw those shoes on, I'm telling you, like, no one believes me, but my squat went up 50 pounds. And that's not gonna happen for everyone. And again, that's debatable because there could have been so many factors within it, but putting on lifters after training in just regular Nike, I don't know what I had at the time, maybe running shoes, whatever kind of athletic shoe I was wearing, was night and day. Like, I always compare it to this, and my ladies will understand this. Ladies, if you ever went out with heels on and you went to a restaurant, a bar, a club, whatever it may be, and you didn't want to sit directly on the toilet, you know that little squat position we do to keep our butt off the toilet? How comfortable does it feel in heels compared to if you're just in a regular shoe? Like, it's easy. And then if you're doing it out at a restaurant and you're just in flats and you're trying to hold yourself up, you're holding on to the sides, you're falling over, it's an uncomfortable position. That's kind of how the lifters felt the first time I put them on. I was just like, oh, this is what a squat is supposed to feel like. And there are reasons for that. And before we go into that, I just wanna say, the shoe isn't specifically just for squats. It's for compound movements, it's for Olympic weightlifting movements. You'll see them used in various different ways. So without further ado, here are the reasons why you should own a pair of lifters if you do not. Number one is the elevated heel on the shoe. What does this do for us? It puts us into better positions and helps us maintain better postures throughout our lifts. So like I mentioned with that bathroom reference, wearing heels, it's the same thing. If you're not wearing those heels, ladies, you know that you're bent over holding yourself up, but when you're holding heels, it's like you can stay there all day. Same thing with the shoes, those heels help elevate you and put you in a better posture. Number two, rolling off of that, there's a solid base on the shoe that provides a foundation that regular shoes don't, that will make your lifts feel safer and more supported. So usually there is like plastic or wood at the bottom so that if you're catching heavy loads or if you're using heavy weights, you feel grounded into the floor. Number three is better ankle support, and I want to say there are exceptions to this one because I've owned a shoe in the past that I'll talk about a little further down that had no ankle support, and that was my biggest issue with it, and that's why I got rid of it. I've actually had ankle injuries before. I've rolled my right ankle a few times, torn ligaments, the whole shebang, and I need a shoe that's nice and sturdy because my ankle has never been the same since. And that's why I love and rely on lifters when I'm lifting heavy to give me that safety net or to give me that support. And speaking of safety, the next point I'm going to make is that it improves your safety to have lifters, that you aren't going to be as prone to injury, especially if you're going with heavy load. I know I keep using that as an example, than if you were with regular shoes. Now, if you're just getting into the gym, and this sounds like it's beyond what you even know, like you don't even know how to lift yet, then maybe buying a shoe shouldn't be your first priority. Get comfortable in the gym setting, learn proper technique and form without the bar, just using your body weight, and then start to progress. And then once you're like, okay, I'm in it for the long run, I'm in it for the long haul, there's no going back, that's when you can invest in a pair of shoes. But shoes will typically be expensive depending on your budget, I would say. Some shoes, they're on a range. Like, I've paid anywhere between $150 to $300 for a pair of lifters. I'm not sure there's much cheaper around than that, but it's a great investment. So I'm not saying that day one you need a pair of these shoes or you can't lift, but it's something to look forward to or look for in the future. And lastly, the lifters help with improving mobility. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but think about it. With the elevated heel, the better ankle support, and the solid base, you are able to get into deeper positions of your lifts than you would have without all of that help. Now, with a sport like weightlifting, for an example, you have to get to pretty low positions to catch your weight. So like your snatch and your clean, when the weight gets heavier, if you're not getting to the bottom as low as your body can possibly get to the floor to catch those weights, the chances of you being successful at these lifts are small. Now, let's say if you're squatting, for an example, the depth might not be as important as it is in the snatch and the clean. Not saying it's not important and that's not a big part of it, but you can kind of get away with squatting halfway and coming up, even though that's, again, not the proper way to do it. But with the snatch and the clean, you won't get away with that after a while. So highly recommend these shoes to make sure that we're getting down to the bottom of our positions with improved mobility. All right, with all that being said, I introduce to you my new lifter. Check it out, let's see. Color scheme is beyond fire. I'm trying to get it to focus. We got one strap on top to keep the laces down and under. Beautiful color scheme. Can't get enough of it. There's that heel I was talking about. This is what it looks like. Now, this is my 4th weightlifting shoe over the years. Some lasted longer than others. Some I've upgraded from quicker than others just because I wasn't a fan. And that's the hard part about just ordering a shoe online. You gotta do your research, you gotta watch videos like this and hear athletes' experiences with different shoes to know which one might be the right fit for you, and it's kind of, you're taking a chance here. But obviously if a certain shoe is getting a lot of good reviews, that might be something that you should go for. So here is the shoe that I've just upgraded from, the ANTA or ANTA. Years later, still don't know how to pronounce it, but here's the color scheme. I think I've had this for about 2 years to 3 years, 2 to 3 years. I should fact check myself. It held up pretty well, especially from the amount of impact I have constantly been putting on the shoe on a weekly basis. But towards the end, it started to feel like the support went. My feet are very clunky and wide and flat, and I could imagine that would do it to any kind of shoe, so I don't think it's the shoe itself. But there are some things that there's actually one thing, one big reason why I was ready for an upgrade besides that. So this, like I said, this shoe, the ANTA, is a solid shoe, had the best ankle support that I've had in any shoe. I just felt really good with my lifts, like very sturdy in my setup position for Olympic weightlifting. However, because the shoe is so solid, I found that there was not enough give in the front of the shoe at the toe for that triple extension. So triple extension, an Olympic movement is when you're here or here in the snatch and you're coming up onto the toes, maybe a slight lean back, but your heels are coming off, hips are high, and then you go under. Because there was no ability to push through my toe that I found that I was going so far back to compensate for what the shoe was allowing me to do. I didn't catch on to that until the very end. Yeah, we've been through a lot of good lifts, a lot of good times. These babies came with me to nationals earlier this year. I will never get rid of a weightlifting shoe. Just because of the memories that I've held with them. So maybe our run isn't over. Maybe you'll come back out for a little reunion. We'll see. All right, the reason I got the Reeboks. I put up a poll on my Instagram to ask, like I'm advising you guys to do, what shoe is the best. A friend of mine, Carly, suggested the Reebok Legacy Lifters, even though she doesn't have the second version. She immediately said that it's because she has a flat foot and they feel very comfortable. Now my feet are so flat, like there's literally no arch in it, that caught my attention right away. So I messaged her and we talked a little bit, and she just boasted about the shoe a little bit more, but said she's never had experience with the 2s. Reason why I got the 2s, easier to find online, so screw it. So I feel like I haven't lifted in these for a long enough period of time to give a real evaluation on them, but I will talk about what I've noticed in the couple of sessions or handful of sessions that I have lifted with them. Right away when I tried them on, before even lifting with them, I've noticed, you see the difference of that give? Like if I was to go into full extension, as opposed to this. Like I have to really push, and remember these are worn out from a few years. Really push to get any give. Again, easy. So right away I noticed that, and I was excited to get that feeling of triple extension, which I have to say did meet my expectations. Feels really good to extend in these shoes. I love the height of the heel. Ankle feels very stable in it. Maybe not as stable as this shoe, I will say, but stable enough that I didn't notice anything wrong about my ankles in them, if that makes sense. Like, I actually didn't think about the ankle being stable or unstable because I didn't notice that they were unstable or stable. I'm talking in circles, but I hope you get the gist. And because it is a darker color, I like the idea of them not looking super dirty, whereas this happened like right away. And I guess these held up, like there's some scuffs on it. You can actually buy something for your lifters that will protect them from dirt getting on them if you do have like a suede or a lighter color, but this looks like it can be easily cleaned. Now I can't go off of how long these will last me or what the lifespan on them is because they are new, but I will give one critique that I noticed on them. One critique, and this might not be for everyone, but because my foot is so flat, on the inside, where my arch of my foot would be in the middle of that foot, it is very high up. To the point where I feel like there's almost like an insert where my arch should be. And my right foot gets sore sometimes in the beginning. Like first day lifting with them, I felt my right arch just cramping up the entire time. However, every shoe has to be broken in, and it's not as noticeable now, lifting in them after a few sessions. So that is something that could potentially go away, and I only noticed it on my right foot, which I'm not sure why. But yeah, the pain was a little annoying at first, scared me a little bit, made me think, did I make the right choice? But all in all, great shoe from what I know so far, and I think I made the right choice. As for sizing, now every shoe will differ, but for something like this, they're women's sizes. They're true to size for what you would get for a normal shoe. My advice to you, if it isn't a woman's shoe, you can still get it, but just get two, if you're a woman, obviously, get 2 sizes smaller than what you are. So for an example, if I'm an 8 in women's, I'm gonna get a 6 in a men's shoe. Now, when it starts to be other countries coming into play and you don't even recognize the sizing, because that happened to me with the ASICS, then you might have to phone a friend or do a little digging on what a country's shoe size converts over to our shoe size. Out of the 4 pairs that I own, so the Adipowers, the ASICS, the ANTAS, and the Reebok Legacy Lifters, my least favorite were the ASICS. And I couldn't wrap my head around how anyone ever lifts in them because of how unstable my ankles felt in them. They didn't feel like a solid shoe. It was cool. They had the wood on the bottom. It had a very old school feel to the shoe. Made a loud slam when you stomped, but I would walk and roll my ankle sometimes, and I do that without shoes on. So it was almost like I wasn't investing my money in the right place. I don't know. Call me crazy. Everyone's different. You see a lot of the Asian countries lifting in either the ANTAS or the ASICS. A lot of successful, highly skilled athletes lifting in those, but they just weren't for me. Alright guys, to wrap up this video, just want to say that Christmas is coming up. So if you've been in the gym and it's been either a few months to a few years and you've never considered or thought that you needed these, I hope after this video you're gonna go ask Santa for a pair, because it'll change your lifting game tremendously. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, any remarks, anything you didn't agree with, whatever comes to mind, leave a comment below. Don't forget to click that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys soon.